Hi, I'm Alfred Thomas Catalfo, and this is Marc Dole, and we have done a film called Moonlight, Bait and Ammo, which is screening here at the New Hampshire Film Festival. Moonlight, Bait and Ammo is an animated graphic novel. When I first wrote the script, I had intended to do it as a live-action film, and it never quite came together, and we wound up doing it as a comic book. Then Marc and I, who have worked together many times before, decided to do it as an animated graphic novel. Moonlight is about an arrogant insurance company executive from Hartford who goes to rural Maine to investigate a hunter's outrageous claim that aliens destroyed his barn. And he goes up there and finds a group of characters that seem to be convinced that they are hunting aliens disguised as deer. It features the voice talents of the legendary Maine humorist Tim Sample and 500 Days of Summer narrator Richard McGonigal, as well as Greg Kretschmar from The Morning Buzz. We're very happy to be here.
So when Freddie first showed me the outlines, the illustrations for the graphic novel, there was no color in them or anything. And I mean, at that time you were just planning to make a comic, and I said,
right,
why don't we do this technique where we take the illustrations and we cut them apart. So we cut the characters out and then repaint in the backgrounds that are there. And when we're repainting the backgrounds, we actually put those on a different layer. This is very old school, like Disney did. And so there's a background layer that has the trees or whatever, and then there's the character here. And with a normal camera, when you're moving around something, your perspective changes. And when you're doing animation, and still 2D animation, that doesn't happen. So we put them on different layers, so when we move the foreground, you end up seeing the speed change that happens between that character and the background. And this became a very popular thing about 3 years ago when we started doing this, and they're finally done with it now after 3 years of animating.
When we were talking about casting, particularly the hunter, the main hunter, Marc had suggested, well, wouldn't it be great if we could get Tim Sample? And I said, we're not going to get Tim Sample. And about 48 hours later, Marc called me and said, can you go up to the studio in Portland and direct Tim Sample? So I went up there, and he was certainly a wonderful guy, and I'm looking, I went in and I talked with him, and then I'm sitting in the control room and I'm looking at my script, and and Tim Sample says, reading out of the script, he says, when I first met the missus, I was covered in moose guts. She was on me like a bug to a zappa, and I nearly fell over.
Yeah, when you hear him say zappa, you're like, oh, we could never, it's like that McDonald's commercial, you can never direct anybody to have the right accent.
That's right, I don't even want to attempt it because it's so perfect. But it was a great moment, and certainly great. And Marc has known Richard McGonigal for some time.
Yeah, Richard McGonigal is actually a voice actor who's from Portland, but lives out in Los Angeles. He does a lot of voices on Star Wars, Clone Wars, Ben 10, and a lot of shows like that. And he came and visited my studio years ago, and people in the other room were saying, how many people were in that meeting? Because we could hear 8 voices. It was just Richard and I. He just has a lot of voices, so it was great to be able to work with him. I'd worked with him on another project, Endurance Challenge. It was great to work with him on this. We also worked with Jack West, who's a voiceover artist in Los Angeles. He's brothers with Billy West, who's a famous cartoon voice actor, and a lot of the local actors that we were able to mix in. You've got these people in LA and Maine recording stuff, and then you've got a couple of people in New Hampshire recording at the studio where you originally did some of the voices. So nobody's acting with each other, and that's pretty typical in animation, but it all comes together because we're able to do a couple different takes and say, could you try it this way, try it that way, and then play stuff back for each of the different people and let them really figure out where the character is supposed to be going.
And it was great to work with Bob Raymond, who's the artist who drew all of the
initial comics.
And he's from Maine himself, and it was really great. He did a wonderful job.